that idea of I have to go and do my work really well, or I'm not going to be able to pay my rent or my mortgage this week. What's up everyone, welcome back to another episode of Books and Beers. Today we have an OG book. It is so OG that the author's name is actually Og Mandino. True story. It is called The Greatest Salesman in the World. It came out in the 1960s and it is very well known even today. My copy is actually in Spanish because just like Rich Dad Poor Dad, I have it in Spanish because it was my dad's. So the book is actually a funny combination. It's a combination of fiction, but it is focused on self-help. So instead of having the classic self-help book where someone just gives you the steps or gives you the tips, this person creates a story and includes all the self-help advice. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to give you guys the story because the story is really good and it has a few plot twists that you guys are really going to like. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to share the 10 self-help lessons that the book has with you guys. Just a small background, as you guys might have seen in the previous episodes, Barney's still in college and I'm actually already started working. I started working this year. And Barney and I are actually the same age. The only difference is that I graduated college a little earlier and I started working a little earlier. So it's interesting having a lot of friends that haven't really started working, and then myself, I started working. So I'm kind of like the first one to get into this area. And especially last week, I actually worked like a ridiculous amount of hours. Not that many hours, honestly, when you compare it to other people, but it was really much more than the average person. So all the tips that I saw in this book, and I'm going to share with you guys, were actually a few of the things that made me perform a little better. And lastly, today's beer is actually Rolling Rock, which is a well-known college beer. Cheers. So the first one is, today I begin a new life. This is super applicable on those days where at the end of the day, you're just fed up, you don't want to keep working, you're tired, something happened, and you feel like the next day is going to be the same thing. It is crucial that even when you have those hard days, that you wake up the next day and you say, okay, today's a new day, let me do my thing, let me make it better, and let me improve. Because if not, you just get into a loop of hell that you're never going to come out of, and you're going to spend the entire week miserable. More importantly, if that bad thing happened on Monday. Been there, don't want to do that. Next one. Greet the day with love in my heart. The book says that the most important thing a salesman must have is love. That as long as a person applies love to every single thing that they do, they're going to succeed. Now, this is where it starts getting maybe a little cheesy. And you might be thinking, well, I've heard that before, that's really cheesy. And I agree 100%. The cool thing about this book, and the thing that makes this book a self-help book, but different than the other ones, is that instead of the author telling you, like I said before, it's a story. So you see how this fictional character is actually applying all these things and all the rituals that the character has to make things better. And that's huge. That's one of the things that I really like. Next one. Persist until you succeed. Heard that 1,000 times. You might have seen hype videos where the person's screaming and you see the person working out and lifting weights, saying that, obviously a huge thing. However, one thing that I like is that the salesman says that every single time he was rejected from a sale, he will stop and say, I will persist until I succeed. I will persist until I succeed. I will persist until I succeed. I will persist. I will win. Something to take into consideration, especially if you have a sales job, to stay a little motivated. Next one. I am nature's greatest miracle. This one goes in line with every single person is in this world for a purpose. It comes down to you to think about what that purpose is. But if you find a purpose in life and you're to pursue that as a passion, that's what's going to make a difference in your job life. Cheesy? Yeah, but it's important and it's one thing that I do think about all the time. So take that into consideration. Next one. I will live this day as it is my last. So this one, you can actually summarize it as YOLO, you only live once, which is one of the things that I do take into consideration most likely more often than most people. And it contrasts with discipline, which we all know what that means, but to define it into a way that is applicable to here, it is the ability of you thinking about the repercussions that your actions today are gonna have tomorrow. And this is applicable when you start working, you start having to wake up early every single day, and you might think that the most important thing for you is to go into your job every single day and work hard and focus on that promotion and being better. And that is really important, and that's one thing to take into consideration. But if you work every single day just focusing on your job and you don't focus about the things that you have out there, maybe staying out with some friends during a work day because you just want to enjoy that time and spending time with your friends, you're going to become miserable. And it is a hard thing to say, but I see it with a lot of people that the only thing they're focusing is work, not thinking that if this was the last day in their life, work will be really important, but there's other things outside of that. So that's something to take into consideration. Next one. Today, I will be master of my emotions. Super simple. I've said it before in other episodes. It is called emotional intelligence. You having the ability of understanding why you're feeling a certain way. Read books about it, read articles about it, try to sit down and think, why am I feeling this way? Why am I performing this way at work? Super important, not gonna say anything else. Read a book about it. I have to do some myself. Next one. I will laugh at the world. Maybe the most important one that I have. I am by no means the funniest guy, but I do consider myself to be a funny guy. I am really good with the dad jokes and the jokes that you guys maybe see in this channel and cringe at sometimes. But that's one of the things that I've seen in my workplace that helps a lot. When you're working those hours, when it's 11:30 p.m., 1 a.m., and you're still in a meeting with some coworkers, be that guy to still have a laugh, to still have a smile on your face, to be putting some jokes out there, to be saying even some puns. People are gonna appreciate that. And I've seen that in the 7 months that I've been working, the feedback that I've gotten, a lot of times they say that that's one of the best things about working with me, is that I'm always that guy to try to cheer people up, to try to bring a smile, to try make funny comments, because that's what makes a difference, especially when you're working long hours like the ones that I worked last week. Next one. Today, I will multiply my value 100-fold. If you go into work every single day and thinking, I'm gonna try to do things better than I did yesterday, or not even that, just thinking, what I'm doing today, I'm actually gonna try to create a purpose out of that. That's gonna be huge. Obviously, this applies really heavily for people that have sales job, something that I don't have right now, but I do wanna have in the future, because it creates that fire in your belly, that hunger, that idea of I have to go and do my work really well, or I'm not gonna be able to pay my rent or my mortgage this week. This is huge. If you have that idea of I wanna make things better, I wanna be the best person at what I do right now, that's gonna make a difference. And that sounds super corny, but it is hard for you to wake up every single day and sit down and say, I wanna be the best at what I do. Yes, when I was in college, I thought that would be my mindset every single day, but you're working the majority of your week. And for you to maintain that mindset, that's the hard part. It's not you thinking about it, but it's you actually taking the actions to complete that mindset. So this is one of the few things that you have to remind yourself, and maybe put it somewhere that you read it often. That way you can keep doing it. Next one. I will act now. The biggest example of this is Books and Beers, this YouTube channel. One thing that I always tell people when they ask me how it's working, how it is working so many hours a week and having to do the same thing every single day, I always say, find something that you really like, find a passion, and do that outside of work. Set some goals. When Barney and I started talking about this channel and about this idea, we said, okay, we got to release the first video, August, whatever, and then we did it. If you say, oh, I want to start reading sometime, and you never actually create a goal of when you want to start reading, you're going to work the exact same job every single day, and that's going to become the main focus of your life. I see so many people that start working, and then the only thing they do is work, and without even realizing, they haven't pursued any passions outside of work. It is very easy to get into the same loop of hell and do the exact same thing every single day. Set some goals and act now, or you're never gonna do them. That was super cheesy, but it's true. Last one. I will pray for guidance. So Og Mandino is actually a very known author, and he has a bunch of books that are super well known, like The Greatest Salesman of the World, and he's a religious person, and this book has a component of religiousness. So even if you're not religious, I do believe that every single person believes in something, and you have to think about what are the things that you want the world to throw you back. When I think about those things, when I pray, because I am religious myself, I always ask for guidance and I always ask for motivation. I want to feel motivated to do things better, and I want to feel some guidance to make sure that I make the right choices. That is important, and even if you're religious or not, the cool thing about this book is that you're going to make your own thoughts and you're going to make your own opinions based on what the book tells you. I do consider this book to be a must-read because of two things. How short it is a little over 100 pages, you can read it super fast, and the concept that it has, because any self-help book is good for you to read, and obviously most of the time they're must-reads. So definitely a must-read, and I encourage everyone to read it and get your copy. And as far as the rating, I'm giving it a 4.3. The book is really good, and I like that it was really short, and it was a different approach to the classic self-help, because like I mentioned, it was fiction. So Rolling Rock is not my favorite beer. It is an extra pale, like most college beers, like I call them, so like Bud Light, Natty Light, and all those, because they're very light and they're just meant to be cheap, and it's the ones that you probably drank in college. I do really like Bud Light, for example, and I think the prices are not much different, but I don't like this one so much, so I'm actually gonna give it a 2.8. And a bucket list, I do want to do an episode where I compare the main college beers. So, leave a comment of what were the beers that you usually drank in college so I can hopefully review them then. So yeah, that's the episode. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Next week, I'm actually going to go to Boston. I'm going to be visiting Barney, and we have a few videos that we're going to be filming and releasing for you guys. So definitely hit that subscribe button. Be sure that you follow us on Instagram at Books and Beers Club because we have really good content there. And see you next Wednesday.